Lunchtime, 2 Chronicles 34. Yoshiyahu was 8 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 31 years in Jerusalem. And he did what was right in the eyes of Jehovah, and walked in the ways of his father David, and did not turn aside right or left. And in the 8th year of his reign, while he was still young, he began to seek the Elohim of his father David. And in the 12th year he began to cleanse Yehudah and Jerusalem from the high places, and the Asherim, and the carved images, and the molded images. And they broke down the slaughter places of the Baals, and his presence, and the sun pillars which were above them he cut down. And the Asherim and the carved images and the molded images he smashed, and ground them up, and strewed it on the surface of the burial sites of those who had slaughtered to them. And he burned the bones of the priests on their slaughter places, and cleansed Yehudah and Jerusalem. And in the cities of Manasseh and Ephraim and Shimon, as far as Naphtali, in their ruins all around. And he broke down the slaughter places and the Asherim, and ground the carved images into dust, and cut down all the sun pillars throughout all the land of Israel, and returned to Jerusalem. And in the 18th year of his reign, when he had cleansed the land and the house, he sent Shaphan, son of Atsyahu, and Maaseiyahu, the head of the city, and Joah, son of Joahaz, the recorder, to repair the house of Jehovah his Elohim. And they went to Hilkiyahu the high priest, and they gave the silver that was brought into the house of Elohim, which the Levites who kept the doors had gathered from the hand of Manasseh and Ephraim, and from all the remnant of Israel, and from all Yehudah and Benjamin, and which they had brought back to Jerusalem. And they gave it in the hand of the workmen, those appointed over the house of Jehovah, and they gave it to the workmen who worked in the house of Jehovah, to repair and strengthen the house. And they gave it to the craftsmen and to the builders, to buy hewn stone and timber for couplings, and for beams for the houses, which the sovereigns of Yehudah had destroyed. And the men did the work trustworthily, and over them were appointed Yahath and Abadyahu, the Levites, the sons of Merari, and Zechariah, and Meshulam, of the sons of Kehathites, to oversee of the Levites, all of whom were skilled in instruments of song. And over the burden bearers and overseers, all of who did work in any kind of service. And of the Levites were scribes and officers and gatekeepers. And when they brought out the silver that was brought into the house of Jehovah, Hilkiyahu the priest found the book of the Torah of Jehovah given by Moshe. Then Hilkiyahu responded and said to Shaphan the scribe, I have found the book of the Torah in the house of Jehovah. And Hilkiyahu gave the book to Shaphan. And Shaphan brought the book to the sovereign, and brought the sovereign word, saying, All that has been given into the hand of your servants they are doing. And they have poured out the silver that was found in the house of Jehovah, and have given it into the hand of those appointed and the workmen. And Shaphan the scribe informed the sovereign, saying, Hilkiyahu the priest has given me a book. And Shaphan read it before the sovereign. And it came to be, when the sovereign heard the words of the Torah, that he tore his garments. And the sovereign commanded Hilkiyahu, Ahikam, son of Shaphan, and Abdon, son of Micah, and Shaphan the scribe, and Asaiah, the servant of the sovereign, saying, Go inquire of Jehovah for me, and for him who is left in Israel and in Yehudah, concerning the words of the book that is found. For great is the wrath of Jehovah that is poured out on us, because our fathers have not guarded the word of Jehovah, to do according to all that is written in the book. Then Hilkiah and those of the sovereign went to Huldah the prophetess, the wife of Shallum, son of Tokath, son of Hasrah, keeper of the wardrobe, who was dwelling in Yerushalayim in the 2nd quarter. And they spoke to her about this. And she said to them, Thus said Jehovah, Elohim of Yisrael, say to the man who sent you to me, Thus said Jehovah, See, I am bringing evil on this place, and on its inhabitants, all the curses that are written in the book, which they have read before the sovereign of Yehudah. Because they have forsaken me, and burned incense to other mighty ones, to provoke me with all the works of their hands. Therefore my wrath is poured out on this place, and is not quenched. And to the sovereign of Yehudah who sent you to inquire of Jehovah, say this to him. Thus said Jehovah, Elohim of Yisrael, whose words you have heard. Because your heart was tender, and you humbled yourself before Elohim, when you heard his words against this place, and against its inhabitants, and you humbled yourself before me, and you tore your garments and wept before me, I also have heard, declares Jehovah. See, I am gathering you to your fathers, and you shall be gathered to your burial site in peace, so that your eyes would not see all the evil that I am bringing on this place and its inhabitants. So they brought back word to the sovereign. And the sovereign sent and gathered all the elders of Yehudah and Yerushalayim. And the sovereign went up to the house of Jehovah with all the men of Yehudah and the inhabitants of Yerushalayim, and the priests and the Levites, and he read in their hearing all the words of the book of the covenant which he had found in the house of Jehovah. And the sovereign stood in his place and made a covenant before Jehovah to follow Jehovah and to guard his commands and his witnesses and his laws with all his heart and all his being, to do the words of the covenant that were written in this book. And he made stand all who were present in Yerushalayim and Binyamin, and the inhabitants of Yerushalayim did according to the covenant of Elohim, the Elohim of their fathers. And Yoshiyahu removed all the abominations from the lands that belonged to the children of Yisrael, and made all who were present in Israel diligently serve Jehovah their Elohim. All his days they did not turn away from following Jehovah Elohim of their fathers.